All right, we are monitoring these Apple events here. Tim Cook is on to discuss the Apple Watch. I'll bore you with all the details in a second. I don't want to bore you with this, though, because this is probably more significant to you. Our debt, the accumulation of all our deficits we've been running up, just crossed the $20 trillion mark, and it ain't stopping. To former George H.W. Bush economic advisor Todd Buchholz. That's a big figure. We've been flirting with it, and we're officially over it. We rarely retrace our steps. We keep going on. Is there anything that's stopping it for you? The administration argues tax cuts will create a revenue surge that might slow that trend. What do you think?
It's a time bomb, Neil. I mean, Kim Jong-un wishes he had this to use on us. And it's going to get worse. Look, almost half of the federal budget is about entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, and so on.
No one touches those.
No one's going to touch. And part of that's a good news story. People are living longer. That's wonderful. Tom Brady's playing at age 40. Right. Mayweather won the fight at age 40. Anthony Weiner is still texting, and I don't know how old,
I know where you're going with this. Right,
but the point is, people are living longer. That means they draw more on Social Security. We either have to ultimately raise the retirement ages or raise taxes quite a bit.
No one shows an appetite for addressing these programs or even slowing their growth, right? I remember, Paul Ryan was seen as throwing Granny off a cliff just by trying to slow the growth of Medicare. So we know that goes. So can we keep this going? Now, a lot of people are enthusiasts of big tax cuts that create a boom. What do you think of that?
Well, if we can create a boom and create more revenue, that's terrific. I actually was looking at my daughter's high school history textbook the other day, and I flipped to the 1980s to see what their take is on the Reagan years. And all they talked about was the debt Reagan racked up. What they didn't talk about was the economic growth that was sparked, a 20-year rally in stocks, right. A 20-year rally in growth, and the fact by winning the Cold War, we could cut defense spending. So we've seen in the past that if we take prudent action and strong action, we can have a stronger economy and save money on spending. The question is whether those spineless folks in Washington are able to come up with a plan that will be workable.
All right. Now, the president's deal with Democrats to raise the debt ceiling, now we're hearing from the likes of Mitch McConnell that inherent is that it's not just a 3-month deal. He could push this out to well into 2018 before they have to revisit it. Having said that, do you think that's the start of an agreement on tax cuts or reform of any sort?
I don't think anybody in Washington has a clue what's going to happen next regarding taxes or regarding the debt ceiling. I do think that this debt ceiling charade that we go through almost every year, actually something like 75 times in our lifetimes, we've had this debt ceiling problem. Right. And yet the debt keeps getting bigger. So clearly it's not helping the situation.
And by the way, when S&P downgraded our credit rating, that we didn't go to the brink. It was just all the theatrics ahead of it that prompted that move, right?
Right. We didn't go to the brink. And look, did interest rates go up? No. I mean, those folks who say we don't have to worry about debt say, look, the world is willing to lend us money at about 2%.
It always has.
So who's worried about that? Here's one thing I think we should do, and I've argued for this on this program, on the Wall Street Journal, in the Wall Street Journal and elsewhere. The U.S. should be locking in long-term debt at these amazing rates. We should be issuing 100-year bonds. Some people think, who would lend us?
Who just did that? Didn't Belgium or something?
Belgium did it? Right. Mexico has done it. Mexico has done it. Railroads have done it.
By the way, real quickly, not throwing this at you, but the U.S. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao has said an infrastructure plan will be readied later this fall. What do you make of that?
Well, Democrats will be happy to spend a whole lot of money on infrastructure. The question is, has Donald Trump and Elaine Chao figured out a way so it's not coming so much from the federal purse, but they can induce the private sector to pony up the money, perhaps with federal guarantees? Look, I think there's
a little of both. Right?
Or a little bit both. Look, I think there's reason to be skeptical about Washington, D.C. right now. Both parties are utterly broken, and the president is trying to decide which party is really willing to make a compromise and work with him.
But you're not confident that tax cuts, as envisioned now, are going to do much of anything to change the...
I think if we have prudent tax cuts, it can help accelerate the economy and help address the debt situation. But if you're asking me, what are the odds of a big tax cut this fall? Take out your coin, flip a coin, because, you know, when Donald Trump came into office and Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell looked confident, we might have said 80%. After all, they controlled all branches of government.
It looked like a layup.
I don't know who's in control now.
Well, there is that.